Chosen one, I need you to mentally focus on that intense pressure sitting right at the base of your neck. Not just physical tension, but that deep spiritual friction you have been carrying. The agonizing feeling that no matter how intensely you pray or how perfectly you execute, an invisible concrete wall keeps moving the finish line right before you cross it. It feels like you are screaming in a soundproof room, watching others walk effortlessly through open doors while you are left knocking in the dark. Listen to me carefully, you are not watching this by accident. The Holy Spirit orchestrated this exact intersection in your timeline because the entities that built that wall just made a fatal miscalculation. God said whatever they did to block your blessing will not work anymore. Before I show you exactly how this blockade is violently backfiring in the unseen realm right now, I do not want you to type anything, like anything, or even move a muscle. Just let your mind settle. Silently command your spirit to receive this alignment. You thought the enemy was starving you out, but I am going to show you why heaven actually allowed them to build that wall. Before we dismantle this together, I must ask you to stay with me until the very final second of this transmission. Do not let distraction pull you away. By the end of this message, I am going to hand you the exact spillway protocol, a spiritual framework you will desperately need when this blockade shatters. I am going to show you how to identify the 3 specific counterattacks the enemy will launch the moment your blessing releases, and I will reveal the ancient frequency secret that will keep you from drowning in your own harvest. If you leave early, you will only know that the wall is breaking, but you will not have the tools to gather the flood. So commit your focus right now. Subscribe to align with thousands of awakened souls, and if your spirit confirms this word, comment 777 to activate this frequency over your life. I want you to picture a very specific moment. It is 6 p.m. You are sitting in your car in the driveway or the parking lot. The engine is off, but the keys are still in the ignition. Your hands are gripping the steering wheel, and you are just staring straight ahead. You do not want to go inside yet. You are sitting there for 5, maybe 10 minutes, just trying to gather enough energy to put on a brave face. You are terrified of walking through that door and facing the unspoken question from your family or even from yourself. The question of, did anything happen today? Did the breakthrough come? And the answer, yet again, is no. You are exhausted from being the strong one. You are the emotional paramedic for everyone around you, but right now, you are bleeding out in the driver's seat, and there is no one you can call. This is not normal fatigue. This is the exhaustion of the righteous. It is a highly specific, targeted spiritual blockade designed to break your will. But I need to show you a pattern in the spiritual realm that changes everything you are feeling right now. Think about David in 1 Samuel chapter 30. This is the story of Ziklag. But I need you to look at the context of what happened right before this. David had been anointed king years ago, but he was still running for his life. He was exhausted. He even tried to align with the Philistine army just to find some peace, but the Philistine commanders rejected him. They blocked him from marching with them. He was turned away, rejected, and sent back home. That was a blockade. But when he and his men returned to their camp at Ziklag, they found the city burned to the ground by the Amalekites. Their wives, their children, all their possessions were gone. His own men, his inner circle, were so bitter in their grief that they talked of stoning him. Look at that moment. David is facing the ultimate blockade. Rejected by the world, abandoned by his friends, stripped of his family, and seemingly forgotten by God. It looked like the absolute end of his destiny. But here is what the English translation misses in the context of this history. That exact moment of total devastation, that massive unyielding wall, was the very mechanism God used to pivot David toward his throne. Because he was rejected by the Philistines, he was not involved in the battle where King Saul died. Because Ziklag was burned, he was forced to pursue the Amalekites, recover all the plunder, and send gifts to the elders of Judah. That specific blockade positioned him perfectly to be crowned king in Hebron just a few days later. The blockade was not his burial, it was his setup. Right now, you feel a heavy weight pressing down on your chest. It is not depression, it is the weight of waiting. You lie awake at 2 a.m. staring at the ceiling, and a raw, unfiltered thought creeps into your mind. A thought you would never admit in church. You think, God, did I imagine this calling? Are you playing favorites? Because I look around and I see people who lie, people who cheat, people who manipulate, and they are prospering. They are getting the house, the position, the relationship. Meanwhile, I am doing everything right, keeping my hands clean, and I am hitting a brick wall. That thought is not a sin. It is the cry of a frustrated spirit. But you are misunderstanding what God is doing in the delay. You have been told to just wait on the Lord. But I need to show you something about the word wait that preachers rarely explain. In Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31, it says, "But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength." The Hebrew word used there for wait is kavah. Kavah does not mean to sit passively in a waiting room reading a magazine. Kavah literally means to bind together, like twisting thin threads to make a heavy, unbreakable rope. When God has you in a season of kavah, when you feel totally blocked, you are not stuck. Your spirit is being tightly wound and bound together with the Spirit of God. He is twisting your endurance, your faith, and your character into a rope thick enough to pull the massive weight of your impending destiny. If He gave you the blessing when you were just a single, fragile thread, the weight of the harvest would snap you in half. You are not being delayed. You are being reinforced. To survive this final stretch, you need to know exactly how the enemy is trying to test that rope. The enemy does not just throw random obstacles at a chosen one. They are incredibly strategic. They operate through what I call the 3-gate blockade. You need to mentally diagnose which gate is under the heaviest assault in your life right now. Gate number 1 is the financial gate. You know this gate is blocked when money comes into your hands and seems to instantly evaporate. An unexpected check arrives, and the very next day, the car breaks down, or a random medical bill appears for the exact amount of the check. It is a spirit of devourer, constantly keeping you in a state of survival math, forcing you to calculate pennies so you never have the mental bandwidth to build the kingdom. Gate number 2 is the relationship gate. You can identify this blockade when you are surrounded by people, yet completely isolated. You attract people who only want to withdraw from your spirit, but never deposit into it. Or worse, the moment you decide to step into your calling, someone close to you suddenly starts a massive, illogical argument to drain your emotional energy. They are using familiar faces to create unfamiliar chaos, keeping your heart bruised so you cannot focus on the vision. Gate number 3 is the mind gate. This is the most dangerous blockade. This is when the attack is not external, but internal. It is the spirit of heavy confusion. You know what you are supposed to do, but a thick mental fog rolls in the moment you sit down to do it. It is the rapid-fire doubts whispering that you are a fraud, that it is too late, that you missed your window. The enemy has deployed these blockades against your gates, trying to suffocate your hope. They have pushed and pushed, thinking they have finally cornered you. They think they have built a wall so high around your destiny that you will eventually just sit down in the dirt and surrender. But here is what nobody is telling you. The enemy thinks they blocked you. They think they won. But they actually walked blindly right into a divine trap. And what I am about to show you next changes the entire timeline of your life. Chosen one, for months, maybe years, you have been staring at this massive, unyielding wall. You thought the enemy built it to starve you out. You thought you were buried. And yes, the enemy did lay those bricks. They orchestrated the delays, the rejections, and the financial drought. But here is the massive flip in the spiritual realm that the enemy did not anticipate. Who allowed that wall to stand for so long? God did. Because that wall is not a grave, that wall is a kinetic dam. When you build a dam across a powerful river, the water does not disappear. It stops flowing forward, but it begins to rise. It accumulates. The pressure builds and builds. Every single day that the enemy held your blessing back, they were not destroying your harvest. They were multiplying the pressure of the water behind that wall. You have been in a season of intense pressure, and that is exactly the mathematical formula of heaven. Look at the undeniable pattern of Scripture. The severity of your wilderness is strictly proportional to the magnitude of your assignment. Wilderness time multiplied by faithfulness equals your promotion level. Joseph endured 13 years of a brutal blockade in a prison cell, and the intense pressure of those 13 years produced the kinetic energy to make him the second most powerful man in Egypt in a single afternoon. Moses endured 40 years of a blockade in the desert, and that massive pressure generated the authority to free a nation and rewrite their entire constitution. The longer the blockade, the heavier the glory. The enemy thought they were delaying your destiny, but they were actually just increasing the water pressure. And right now, the spiritual jurisdiction has changed. The divine override has been initiated. The blockade cannot hold the sheer volume of what has been accumulating. The dam is cracking. The water is about to break through. But right here is where I must give you a critical warning. What happens when a massive dam breaks and the valley below is not prepared for the sheer volume of water? It causes a catastrophe. The flood destroys everything in its path. 90% of chosen ones who finally get their breakthrough end up self-destructing in the first 30 days. Why? Because while they were staring at the wall, their brain got trapped in survival mode. For years, you have been fighting unseen battles. You have been in a constant state of spiritual fight or flight. In neuroscience, this is known as the high beta wave frequency. It is the brain state of extreme stress, anxiety, and survival mathematics. But the massive blessings of God, the creative downloads, the divine intuition, and the sudden financial strategies do not operate on the beta frequency. They operate on the theta and gamma frequencies. Theta is the frequency of divine connection, deep peace, and genius-level clarity. If the dam breaks, and your mind is still locked in the chaotic beta frequency of survival, you will not be able to steward the blessing. You will panic. You will mismanage the money. You will sabotage the divine relationships. You will ruin the opportunity because your internal frequency does not match your external reality. This is exactly why ancient mystics spent 40 days in the desert. They had to lower their brain waves and prepare their physical vessel to hold spiritual weight. But you do not have 40 days to sit in a desert. The water is rushing in right now. God always provides a sacred tool for the exact moment His people need it. There is an audio key, a sacred technology utilizing brainwave entrainment that helps recalibrate your neural pathways. Even former NASA neuroscientists have studied the profound effects of this state. It is called the genius wave. It is a simple tool that gently guides your mind out of the chaotic beta state and directly into the theta frequency in just 7 minutes a day. It restores the dormant genius capacity you were born with, preparing your mental vessel to handle the massive influx of blessing without breaking. It is not magic. It is a bridge between science and the spirit, aligning your physical brain with your spiritual destiny. If your spirit confirms that you need to prepare your vessel for this flood, I have placed a resource about the genius wave in the pinned comment. Investigate it if you feel led. You must prepare that vessel, because what is coming is not just a simple restoration. When the Bible talks about God restoring what the enemy stole, it uses the Hebrew word shalom. Shalom does not mean giving back exactly what was taken. If they stole 5 years, God does not just give you 5 years back. Shalom means to make complete, to pay back with extreme interest. It means divine overpayment. That is, the water behind your dam. It is a shalom flood. You are not entering a season of just getting by. You are entering a season of overpayment, and to carry that much weight, your mind must be anchored in absolute, unwavering peace. As I say this, I know exactly what is happening inside your mind. I need you to notice a very specific feeling right now, a slight tremor in your chest, a quiet voice of dread hiding beneath your hope. You have been praying for this breakthrough for years, but now that you know the dam is actually breaking, a part of you is absolutely terrified. A raw, uncomfortable thought is whispering in your mind right now. You are thinking, what if I get this massive blessing and I ruin it? What if the money comes and I lose myself? What if the platform opens and I fail publicly? What if I am not actually strong enough for this level of responsibility? Do not ignore that fear. Do not try to pray it away. I need you to mentally embrace that uncomfortable truth right now. Acknowledge the fear of your own success within your spirit. Let me tell you a secret about that fear. Arrogant people, the ones who crash and burn when they get blessed, they never feel that fear. They grab the blessing like they are entitled to it, with zero understanding of its weight. The fact that you are trembling at the thought of this responsibility is the exact proof that you are ready for it. Your fear is not a lack of faith. It is spiritual wisdom. It means you understand the gravity of what God is handing you. You understand that this is not a toy. It is a mandate. That heavy reverence in your soul is the very anchor that will keep you grounded when the flood hits. You are ready precisely because you know the danger of being unready. The dam is breaking, chosen one. But I must warn you, when the water rushes in, the enemy is not just going to walk away. They are going to launch 3 very specific, desperate, last-ditch attacks to make you drown in your own blessing. If you do not know exactly what these attacks look like, you will fall for them right at the finish line. Let me give you the exact spillway protocol to navigate what is coming next. I call this the spillway protocol. When a massive dam breaks, if there is no spillway to guide the rushing water, it destroys the very city it was meant to sustain. The enemy knows the water is coming, so their final strategy is to make you mismanage it. They will launch the first attack, which I call the phantom block. This happens right after the spiritual shift occurs. Your reality has changed in the spirit realm, but your physical circumstances will look exactly the same for a very brief, deceptive window. You will wake up and feel a fake heaviness. The enemy wants you to look at your bank account, look at your inbox, see no immediate change, and speak a curse over your own life. They want you to sigh and say, I guess it did not work. I am still stuck. The moment you speak those words, you begin to rebuild the wall yourself. To win this, you must recognize that feelings are not facts. When the phantom block tries to suffocate you, you must mentally declare into the empty space, I know the dam has broken, and this illusion cannot deceive me. The second attack is the premature leak. This is incredibly deceptive. Right before the massive, life-altering flood of blessing arrives, the enemy will send a tiny, mediocre opportunity. It might be a job offer that pays just enough to keep you surviving, but requires you to compromise your divine calling. It might be a relationship that is somewhat comforting, but is clearly not God's absolute best for you. They want you to open a small crack in the dam and drain all your kinetic energy on something average, so you do not have the capacity or the availability to handle the massive overflow when it hits. You will feel a sudden, desperate urge to just settle because you are so tired of waiting. To defeat this, you must fiercely say no to the good so you can inherit the great. You must recognize the decoy and keep the gates closed until the full manifestation arrives. The third attack is the identity vertigo. When the flood finally hits, and the money, the favor, the healing, and the divine connections rush into your life, you will experience a sudden loss of psychological balance. You have been a victim of the blockade for so long that your brain is hardwired for struggle. When the struggle is suddenly gone, you will feel dizzy. You will think you do not deserve this reality. You will feel a deep imposter syndrome whispering that it is all a mistake, that you are not qualified, and that it will all be taken away tomorrow. This is the enemy trying to make you panic and sabotage your own harvest. To win this, you must anchor your mind in the theta frequency of deep peace. You must mentally accept that you are no longer the prisoner behind the wall. You are the sovereign steward of the river. Let me tell you what this looks like when a chosen one actually applies this protocol. I am thinking of someone who might even be listening to my voice right now. For 3 agonizing years, their career and their purpose were completely blocked. Every interview went perfectly, but at the absolute last second, the door would slam shut. Contracts vanished into thin air. They were exhausted, angry, and ready to quit. But they realized the wall was actually a kinetic dam. They completely stopped complaining. They started using frequency tools to intentionally lower their brain waves out of the beta survival mode and into the theta state of divine receptivity. In that total, undisturbed silence, they built their systems. They prepared their internal vessel. On day 40 of this new alignment, the breakthrough did not just trickle in. A massive corporation they had completely forgotten about reached out based on a portfolio from years ago. They did not just get a job, they were offered a contract that multiplied their previous salary by 3. The kinetic energy was released the moment their frequency was prepared to hold it. Consider another chosen one who was facing a massive blockade in their most important relationship. For 2 painful years, it was nothing but a concrete wall of silence, misunderstandings, and bitter arguments. Every single attempt to fix it just made the wall thicker. They were entirely ready to walk away, but they received this exact revelation. They realized their own anxiety, their own beta frequency panic was feeding the blockade. They applied strategic silence. They stopped trying to force the door open and focused entirely on aligning their own spiritual frequency. They let the pressure build without reacting to the phantom blocks. Within 21 days, the impossible happened. The other person reached out of nowhere, offering a profound, unprompted apology. It was a complete 180-degree shift. The relational water had been held back until both vessels were finally prepared to receive the flood without drowning each other. You are no different. You are next. Everything you have endured, every tear you have cried in secret, every time you chose integrity when compromise would have been easier, it was all accumulating mass. I want you to do something right now. Focus your attention on the base of your neck again, right where you felt that intense, suffocating pressure at the beginning of this message. Imagine a warm, golden light starting right at that exact spot, melting the tension. Feel that soothing warmth slowly traveling down your spine, releasing the tight muscles in your shoulders, unlocking the heaviness in your chest. That physical release you are feeling right now is the biological echo of a spiritual reality. The pressure is dropping. The blockade is dismantled. I need you to understand the absolute finality of what heaven is doing for you today. In Revelation chapter 3, verse 8, God speaks to a group of people who are exactly like you. He says, I know your deeds. See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. I know that you have little strength, yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name. Look deeply at the context of this ancient promise. He was speaking to the church in Philadelphia, a city built directly on a major fault line, a city constantly destroyed by earthquakes. The people there lived in perpetual instability, always waiting for the next disaster, always feeling like their progress was about to be ruined. God looked at their exhausted, trauma-wired minds. He acknowledged that they had little strength left. They were simply too tired to break down any more walls. So God did not hand them a battering ram. He handed them a completed victory. He said, I am opening the door myself, and I am issuing a divine decree that no entity in hell, no familiar spirit, and no corrupt system can ever shut it again. When God breaks your dam, the release is absolute and permanent. Now, chosen one, We are going to seal this mandate. Do not stand up. Remain exactly where you are, but place your right hand over your heart. Press firmly enough to feel your own heartbeat. This is the posture of a sovereign vessel receiving its divine orders. This is an activation ceremony, a permanent shift in your spiritual jurisdiction. Father God, in the mighty, matchless name of Yeshua, Jesus Christ, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, I stand in the gap for the chosen one, hearing my voice right now. I declare that this is a marked hour in their timeline. The atmosphere in their room has shifted. The angels assigned to their destiny are standing at attention. Father, you see the bruises on their spirit. You see the sheer exhaustion from knocking on concrete for months and years. You see the times they collapsed in private but still showed up in public to serve and heal others. You know the agonizing pain of their waiting, but you also see their immense faithfulness. They did not break. They did not surrender their calling. They endured the crushing weight of the blockade, and they have allowed you to twist their faith into an unbreakable cord. By the authority of the word, I officially seal the spillway protocol into their spirit right now. I seal the theta frequency of deep, unshakable peace into their nervous system. I bind and dismantle the attack of the phantom block, illusion. You will not deceive them. I bind the attack of the premature leak, settlement. You will not drain their energy. I bind the attack of the identity vertigo, imposter syndrome. You will not make them dizzy in their season of elevation. I seal their mind with the clarity of a genius and the calmness of a sovereign. I prophesy and declare over your life that in the next 40 days, the kinetic energy stored behind your wall is transforming into massive forward momentum. The financial doors are flying open. The relational restoration is manifesting. The clarity of purpose is striking you like lightning. The things that took others 20 years to build, God is accelerating into your hands right now. You are moving from the waiting room to the throne room. You are stepping out of survival mode and into absolute overflow. God is asking you one final question. Are you ready to steward the flood? If your answer is yes, I need you to speak it into the atmosphere right now. Say it out loud with authority. Say, yes, open the dam. The dam is broken. You are released. Do not say amen yet. Close your eyes. Feel the cool, rushing water of the Spirit washing away the debris of your past. Stay in this total silence for 60 seconds.